Tony East here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where a high school game just ended, maybe a little younger than that, and we're really going to talk about Pacers Bulls, the game that ended right before that amid the makeshift fake display lockers for James Johnson, TJ McConnell, and Isaiah Jackson, and none of them are the story today. Aaron Nesmith is the story of this one. What a crazy game for the Pacers, who were sloppy. Their defense was terrible in the first half. Their offense took forever to really look alive, but the way this game flowed is what allowed Aaron Nesmith to be just sensational when it mattered. Aaron Nesmith finishes this one with 27 points, a career high on 6 made threes, the second most he's ever made in a game. You don't get to a career high on just made threes, especially when you don't even make a career high in threes. A lot went well for Aaron Nesmith in this game to get to his 27 plus 28, a team high, including 3 threes in the middle of the third quarter that finally separated this game for the Pacers. We're asking Rick Carlisle about it after the game, asking Nesmith about it. Of course, making 6 threes matters, and he was open a lot the way the ball was flowing, and we'll talk about the why in just a second, but what allowed that to happen is irrelevant right now. What matters for Nesmith is, one, he made the shots. He played very well when he would catch and shoot and make it. But what Rick Carlisle talked about and what Nesmith talked about was how his game has evolved from that, right? When he can put it on the floor and step to the side and hit a three. He wasn't doing that much last year. He could put it on the floor last year and move towards the rim and make passes or finish. Sometimes he could move towards the rim and make a different mid-ranger or something like he did in Game 7 against the Knicks. But his ability to move on the perimeter after getting run off on the first shot wasn't really there. In this game, it absolutely was. And that's what allowed him to be such a terrorist, even as the Bulls are freaking out about his shooting. He took 11 threes. 1/4 of every Pacers three in this game was an Aaron Nesmith three. He took 1/3 of the Bulls' full total. They were trying to run him off the line. They couldn't do it. He found other ways to get open by moving after catching, getting run off the line, by putting it on the floor, by just being really, really threatening at all times. Apologies for the noise. Some kids are running around after their own game, and a security guard is telling them not to. But that is what made Nesmith pop so much in this game, his own ability to read the game beyond the shot, beyond that. What allowed him to be so open actually had nothing to do with what he did. It had everything to do with his teammates. You'll look at the box score of this game and see 37 combined points for Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Haliburton. 29 of them were in the first half, right? Siakam, I believe, had 14 at the break and 6 in the second half, and Tyrese Haliburton had 15 at the break and 2 in the second half. Siakam did a lot of his work early. There's no one on the Bulls could guard him, right? They had some shorter or two, I would say, skinny defenders. Dalen Terry, Modest Buzelis, Kobe White, Josh Giddey. They're too short or too thin, right? They can't guard Siakam. Siakam hits him with a strong move, with a spin, with a fade, and that is how he was getting his shots. That's what he's good at, right? And all night, the Pacers were going to be ready to play through him. He was getting the early seals. He would post up on a switch. They would get it to him, right? They would move it to the wing on his side, just to get it to Pascal on the post, right? I thought that was really important for the Pacers to establish because that forced the Bulls to double team him, right? And that's fine for the Pacers. Pascal, very patient. He'd back down, see the double come, kick it out. That would let them move the ball to an open shooter elsewhere. Or he'd double kick it out, then it'd come back to him, right? That was really good work by Siakam to continue to read what was happening beyond his own game, but he was the early star for the Pacers. He scored early. Haliburton and his points in the first half, hitting some threes and getting past his defender. Giddey couldn't stay in front of him. Some floaters from Haliburton were impressive. Kobe White nobody really could stay in front of him. That's why 15 of his 17 points came in the first half of this game. Crossover was there. The step back was there. So the Bulls did a couple things. One, I already talked about. They doubled Siakam, tried to force him to get off the ball, move it to a cutter, move it to someone in the lane. Just do something else, right? Don't let Siakam kill them with scoring. Make him beat them a different way. And it kind of worked, right? His scoring went from 14 in the first half to 6 in the second half, but it allowed other guys to get going. Haliburton was the same thing. He would come around a screen in the second half, looking either for the step backer to get to the rim, and there were 2 Bulls players waiting for him. That's smart by Chicago, right? It slowed him down. He only scored 2 points in the second half, but it meant that he could also get off the ball and someone else is going to be open. And that he did. So 2 stars seeing doubles. That means if those 2 are on one side of the floor and they keep moving it back and forth, the doubles keep coming, someone else is going to be open. Aaron Nesmith absolutely took advantage of that. There was so much soft space in front of him for him to take advantage of. And that's going to be his role with this Pacers starting group on nights like this, especially with Ben Mather now. I have a feeling if Ben Mather was available for this game, he would have had a big night because he would have been seeing those same soft spots as well, regardless. Nesmith, yes, he took advantage with the shooting. Yes, he took advantage with his moves after catching and moving it on the floor, moving it himself. However, it was all possible because of the early work from the Pacers' 2 star players who were getting by their own men early and finishing those plays. Very impressive work from Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam to make that all possible, because without that, this would have been a much tougher game for the Pacers. Their defense stunk. Their bench was not very good until the fourth quarter, but the star players got it done early, and Nesmith was a finisher. Andrew Nembhard did a good job filling in those cracks. He's playing more without Benedict Mathurin available. 37 minutes for Andrew Nembhard. He goes 4 for 5, hits 2 threes, including a big early one, 4 assists in this one. He was a plus 18. His defense wasn't as strong. Kobe White got him a few times, but he was solid as well. And Miles Turner did a lot of work inside the arc in this one. His shot wasn't there to the extent that it was in some recent games. He goes 2 for 7 from deep, but 6 for 4 on twos on his way to 16 points and 6 boards. He was a plus 20. Forceful dunk was the icing on the cake for Turner in this game, but they were posting him up to start the second half, right? Really, the way the Pacers were able to play all night all stemmed from the early work from their stars, and that led to open looks or better plays for their role players throughout the game. And Aaron Nesmith deserves a ton of credit for knocking those shots down. Andrew Nembhard did a good job getting into those spaces and keeping the ball moving. And Ben Shepherd did a good job finding those spots as well. He made 3 of his 6 shots, and they were all threes. TJ McConnell was efficient off the bench. Thomas Bryant hit a big 3 in this one. Jarris Walker played very well in his 9 minutes, which he has not been getting as much of late due to their rotational changes. He took advantage today. Beautiful lob on a pass to Obi Toppin. Huge buzzer beater 3 at the end of the first quarter. And I forget who he hit for a corner 3 at one point. I think it was Ben Shepherd, but he just played very well, I thought, in his limited minutes as well. Those were the highlights of the game. Pacers defense in the first half, not a highlight at all. Whew. Awful transition defense from the Pacers in the first half, giving up transition baskets after made shots. Unacceptably bad. They knew it. They were losing at halftime despite pretty good shooting in this game. They were losing at halftime despite their star players having 29 points. I mean, it was concerning. After they lost a game in which they were so hot all night against the Miami Heat, they needed to find a better way to get some stops in the second half. Kobe White had 20 of the Bulls' first 40 points. What? Unacceptable from the Pacers on defense. They knew it. They got talked to at halftime. They came out much better in the second half. Better force in the paint and a trap against Kobe White. Force him to get off the ball and make other Bulls players beat them. Josh Giddey at times could keep it moving enough that actually kind of worked for the Bulls, but no one else could. They didn't get any other play from the middle of the floor from any of the rest of their guards. Zach Collins wasn't killing him in there. Nobody else could really do anything. Trey Jones maybe a little bit, but that really forced Kobe White to slow down. He had the first 2 points of the second half and then only 4 the rest of the game for the Bulls, and nobody else really picked up the slack. Josh Giddey had, again, some okay moments in this game. They shot it fine early, but once the Pacers picked up that part of their defense, it was much, much harder for the Bulls to get going on offense. They only scored 45 points in the second half. So while the Pacers deserve a lot of blame and blame pie for their terrible defense in the last couple of games. And again, in the first half of this one, they did recover with just enough time to figure it out on offense and keep rolling. They did a good job of slowing down the best Bulls players in this one. The shooting was never really there for Chicago, and they themselves picked it up via their role players after their star set the tone early. That's how they got it done, got back to their winning ways. Still, only once this calendar year, they have lost 2 games in a row. Play the Rockets in this building on Tuesday. I'll be there for that and have a video after that one as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. For much longer analysis of all these points and riding on the Pacers, you can check me out at Locked On Pacers and Forbes. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.